This is Urdizzle with some bonus extended coverage for the daily tournament ending on June 23rd. And so the bonus coverage you're going to get is actually several rounds from me that tied for first, and my one final round that ended up beating everybody by one stroke. And so my bag changes a little from round to round, at least from the first round to the second. So you see my bag for the first round, and so you'll see some familiar faces and some different ones. So of course my accurate windbreak fuse, which is my putter. I am using the accurate glide musket for a few holes. I've got my windbreak glide recoil, which is usual disc. I've also got my light glide ballista, which is also in my normal bag, and same with my skip glide ballista. And then the new one I have in there is the roll turn ballista, which I used to use a lot on the 912 update. But I don't want to say it's worthless on the 926, but it's definitely a little more challenging. And so I'm really only going to use it on one hole, and I'm only going to use it for the first round. So first hole, we start off on Oak Hill, and we've got one of the par fours, and that is where the glide skip ballista really comes into play. And so it leaves me with 114, and I'm able to bang that in. And so after playing a few rounds, I was able to get a pretty good read on the wind and what effect it was going to have on those throw-ins. Hole 2, I'm using the recoil. I just absolutely love the recoil for that shot. It's already overstable, it just has a natural slide down, and I mean, I get quite a few tap-ins on that. Not every round, but quite a few. Hole 3, this one is a little challenging because you've got a right to left wind of 3, but I've been able to kind of dial in the angle and the aim point for the light glide ballista. So I'm going to aim a little low and then just put a huge amount of hyzer on it. And this can be a little dangerous to do in multiplayer or pro tour games, but after playing this daily tournament, you kind of get a good read on it. And so I left it a little high up on the hill, but it was able to slide down. And so this is no gimme. I'm going to have to work at this one a little bit, 123 feet, but my fuse is just freaking lethal. I mean, I've hit so many shots with that fuse, it's just ridiculous. So definitely started off pretty perfect there. Hole 4, we shift over to windswept, and I'm going to use my accurate glide musket. And I don't really like this disc for this because without having the windbreak, I normally use the accurate windbreak. It's a little more susceptible to that 5 wind that's moving left to right. And so that shot ended up pretty well from 35, but I was really not happy with the consistency of that shot. And so you'll see me make a couple changes as we move into the second round of this. There's actually 5 rounds in this. So hole 5, this is by far the hardest hole in this particular layout. And so this is the only hole that I'm going to use the roller on. And in the 912 update, I could really do a good job with the roller on this one. And so there's a few different options here. You could use a glide skip or a light skip. I was really intent on wanting to get the roller to work. And so this first round, I really tried to use it, and it put me within 107. And with that 5 wind, headwind, and cross, that is just an extremely difficult shot. And that is a shot I missed many times going through these rounds. So hole 6, we've got a left to right cross headwind, and this is just the ballista, and the ballista just gets so darn flippy. And so luckily I'm able to kick off there, and if I'm able to make it up to the rock area there, I know I'm in putt range. So I know for a lot of you 56 feet is probably a throw-in, but for me that is definitely putt range. I just think I'm able to fight it through the wind a lot better than a throw. And so got the eagle. So I pretty much have an ideal round here. And so now hole 7, we're switching over to blueberry. And this is why I also want the accurate glide musket in the bag, because I'm ace running that one. The accurate windbreak musket just does not get up there. It's just a little too short. And so at this point, if I just birdie out, I'm tied for first, but I really want to get a hole-in-one on one of these. So I missed hole 7. Hole 8, again, this is one where the accurate glide musket, I normally use the accurate windbreak. With a left to right wind of 3, it's not designed for that. And so that was a great shot. I mean, that was kind of ace running, but just as far as consistency, I mean, that was a good one, but I'm not just about getting one good shot. I want to know what can be the most consistent shot for me round to round, and that just was not the case with that disc. So you will see some changes in the next round. And then hole 9, I had not really messed around with this one too much, so I'm going to try the accurate glide. But this is just an atrocious shot. I mean, that's just awful. And so luckily I got up there and I was able to putt and get my birdie. But after this round, I believe going into the next round, I went back through to this hole and started just tweaking it a little bit, seeing where I could aim as a better spot. So overall, pretty good round that tied for first at that point. And no real mistakes, but no hole-in-ones, just straight 2s across the board. And that did tie for first. And I think there were 1 or 2 other people up there at this point in time. And I think there ended up being 5 pretty shortly thereafter. But for me, hole 5 was really difficult, being in the 926 update, being able to get that eagle. And so going into round 2, I decided to make some subtle changes. So I'm putting the accurate windbreak musket back in the bag. And so I'll walk through my bag for this particular round that I changed up. So again, I made some subtle changes, sticking with the accurate windbreak fuse. That's never coming out of the bag. And then the accurate windbreak musket, which I'm going to use on a couple holes we'll talk about. And I did keep the accurate glide musket because I want to use that for an ace run disc on a couple holes. And then the recoil, I'm keeping for that Mando hole on Oak Hill. I could probably use the glide musket, but I like the recoil. And then, of course, finishing off with the usual ballistas, the light glide and the skip glide, which is going to work as a replacement for the roller disc. Okay, so hole 1, you've already seen me run through this, very similar. So hole 1, I'm going to use the glide skip. And just for consistent long shots, I prefer the glide skip over the light skip. I just think the light skip is a little more susceptible to wind influences, and so I hit that one. Again, that's 107 feet, but I missed that one enough that once I figured out what the wind was doing, I really started to dial that one in. I was getting hole 1 probably 2 out of every 3 times I played it. So then hole 2, we've got the recoil. Again, you could use the musket, but I just love the recoil for that. It just perfectly slides down there, and I'm almost always within 20 to 25 feet. Okay, in hole 3, we already talked about this. Aim point, I'm putting the bottom arrow just to the left of the rock there and putting it on a huge hyzer. And all I want to do is basically get down there somewhere and miss this one rock. And as long as it misses the rock and slides, the 926, although it does have its negatives, one of the pros is it doesn't have a huge amount of slide. You're not going to get any weird rolls. So once I know I land down there, it's probably going to land flat. All right, now hole 4, this is where I changed up a little bit. I did not like the accurate glide musket, so this is where I'm going to use my accurate windbreak. And I know that looks close, but I'm not really ace running that. But the accurate windbreak musket is the disc I usually use on this hole. Sometimes I use a river, but I just think it's more consistent. Again, that's key. All right, so this hole. I had spent some time on this prior to making that first run through using the glide skip and was having some reasonable success with it, but nothing too close. And so that one I got a great skip up to 95 feet. And so I've tried to adjust a little to the left and you got to be really touchy with the power. That is such a difficult shot with that 5 wind because it's going to push it a little to the right and the headwind just sucks. So I was definitely happy to get that one. But again, hole 5, I missed a lot. Hole 6, we switched to our light glide ballista, and I made some changes because last round I was aiming over that, or aiming a little too far to the right, so I was bringing the ground wall into play and that rock. So I changed my angle and definitely cleaned that up a little bit. So I will take that over the first round lie. Hole 7, again, this is one where I'm aiming up top there, and I really wanted to get this one, and I got it in practice when I was doing my scout round, but I could not get this one during the rounds. It was just killing me. But I do like it. It only leaves me with 47 feet, so it's really a reasonable comeback. But so hole 8 here, this is another one where I had a pretty good shot with the accurate glide musket, but I really prefer the windbreak. it just fights through those. I mean, that was a really great shot. It just fights through the wind, so it doesn't matter if it's a 1, 2, or 3 wind. It's more consistent, and that's a common theme for me. It's just consistency across all my rounds. And so you'll notice my aim point in this one's a little different. So I was aiming over by the tee, and now I'm aiming a little bit to the right. I kind of fixed my aim point in this one, so this one I'm now usually giving a pretty good run. And so that one was pretty solid, a little to the right, but I thought it was a much better shot than my first round. And so 51 feet is a pretty good, easy putt, and man, let's be honest, I should have missed that one. I mean, that was hanging way out to the right and balanced on the basket, so no big deal. I had already gotten one. And so now we're going to shift into round 3. So I'm using the same bag, the fuse, the 2 muskets, the recoil, and the 2 ballistas. And so you're going to see a lot of similarities with this round to the first round. And so I've already shot 18 twice. And my goal is to shoot a 17. And so again, I'm in the same range, 114. I think last round I was 109. And so I messed up that one right there, and I kept that in there to show you that I wasn't making it every single time, but I was at least giving myself a shot every single time. And so I missed it the first, and I told you guys I was making it probably 2 out of every 3 shots, so I missed the first one. And here I'm 124, so I'm a little further out, but again, I feel very comfortable with those. And so the crosswind of 3 is having a little effect, but I was able to get that pretty consistently. And then this one is probably the easiest hole in the layout. It's right there. Throw the recoil, aim it high, let it drop. And again, I said I'm usually within 20 to 25 feet. There's your 19. It's just easy birdie. Now, I know this is a longer video, but I wanted to show you guys that this round of 18, I kept getting over and over with a lot of the same shots, and you get to see some of the little minor adjustments I make and some of the shots that are the same. So hole 3, I'm throwing that ballista, I'm putting it on a huge hyzer, and this one, again, if I miss the rock, this is just beautiful, so it slides down. So you saw a couple different results. One of them was a little high up the hill, one of them was a little right. I'd consider that perfect. Like, I don't have to be under the basket. That is just ideal. And then I fixed my problems on this one. Again, I'm aiming right about the 0 in the 260 and just throwing it up over the top. Let it crash down. And again, I'm probably not going to get a hole-in-one on that the way I'm throwing it, but 15 feet, give me birdie. And you're throwing it over pretty much all the branches that you would ever run into. And so it's perfect. So back to my nemesis hole, hole 5. Again, I've got an aim spot way to the right because the ballista is super flippy. And my goal here is just get somewhere between 90 and 100. That's the kind of the sweet spot. And so this one, that was a pretty good one, 105, a little bit longer. So I aim to the left. And I got in this range, like I said, a ton. And so even the shots I'm making for that, they're just so hard with that headwind of 5. So again, I'm right on pace. So if I eagle this one, and again, after that first round correction, that was also a very easy one. This one and one of the other ones leaked out a little bit to the left, but again, in this 926 update, it's really not going to slide. It's just going to kind of settle in there. So 52 feet, pretty easy putt, even with the wind blowing there. So I got my eagle. So now again, if I birdie out, I've got myself the exact same score of 18, but I really, really, really want to get one of these hole-in-ones. And so hole 7, I throw this shot. And if you're wondering why, so I keep missing to the right. Because I found that if I actually aimed left and let it fade to the right, it would actually end up short. I don't know why. It's just putting it on a flex like that gives it that little added distance that just carries it up. I was just banging it off the front of the basket. So if you want to know why I didn't adjust my aim after missing 3 times, that's why. Okay, hole 8, standard stuff, accurate, windbreak musket, slamming it down. And again, I'm not acing those, but it wouldn't be that big a stretch if I saw one of those just slam down in the basket. So why not just throw it up there? And if you get lucky and throw it in, fantastic. Which leaves us with hole 9. So again, we're trying to get this. So my aim point is a little to the right of the 300 feet. Again, throwing it up there. And this was, again, I felt pretty good about these runs. And that one, I really thought I had a good shot at it. But it just we're hitting metal. So the first one was way left, the second one was a little off, the third one hit metal, and so I feel like I'm getting closer, but again, same exact round. 13 under 18. And so it leads right into another round. And these were not back to back. These were spaced apart by, 5-10 minutes, sometimes 15. So hole 1, glide skip. By now you could probably call the disc that I'm going to use on each hole. And so we're 113. So do you notice this is the exact same range? 109, 113, 124. It's just, that is the consistency that the glide skip gives me that the light skip does not. Hole 2, I don't even want to really talk about. Recoil, aim up, throw down, slide hill, tap in, boom. Again, it's very rare that I'm not inside 20 feet on that one. So hole 3, again, you guys could probably call these shots. Aim to the left of the rock, put a huge hyzer on it, fly around the tree, miss the rock. And so that one, getting a little closer to the rock. But again, that's ideal. Even if you hit the rock's about 100, 105 feet out. So even if you do hit that rock, you've got a chance of going in. Now you may be getting a little bored, but I promise there's some fireworks coming. I'm just showing you that this was how many times. This is every round that I shot 18 on this. And it was kind of frustrating. So some people get it once. This one I'm on, what is this, the second or third run? But now I'm not on pace for 18 yet, because again, it's all about hole 5. So hole 5 ended many of my good rounds. So again, I'm going to take my glide skip ballista, aim way left, and hope I skip. Again, my goal is anywhere between 90 and 100 feet. If it's a little over 100, it's still okay, but... So 106. I think the last round was 105. So knowing what I had to do to get that 105, I made a subtle adjustment. And my alarm went off there. And so the last round, I came close to missing it. That was much closer. And this one, even after that first round, I have this one dialed in for the distance. I just know where to aim. And that one flipped a little more. And I think I actually aimed a little more right after that last round. Because even though it didn't go in the water, I did not want to bring that water into play and ruin a good round. So we're right back at it now. I'm on pace for 18, but I've got to get a hole-in-one on one of these 3. And so we're probably not going to get 8. It's got to be this one. So it's the same shot. I know I can hit this. I practiced it. Put it on a flex, turn it, and that one, again, I'm just missing. But I've told you guys, if I aim left, it misses left. If I throw it flat without the turn, it's short. So, trust me when I say I know what I was doing on that. I'm not an idiot and just keep missing right. There was a method to my madness. Hopefully, if you've watched my videos, you know that there is a method to why I'm doing some of the things I'm doing. And so that one, again, close. So if you ever, the accurate windbreak musket, if you look at how consistent that is, you're taking all those trees completely out of play. All right, which leads us into hole 9. So I keep messing up hole 7, which leaves me with hole 9. And so I've got my same aim point I'm going for. I hit metal the last round. I'm feeling like maybe I can get it on this one. And so right there is just back to where it was a couple rounds ago. I just missed right. And so any hole that's this long, though, 300 plus, you're going to get a little variability where it's just not going to always be exactly where you aim. And so I know it looks like a repeat. It's the same score in the same round, which finally leads us into our final round. And so if you've been bored with the same layout, I just wanted to show you guys the similarities between my runs. And so this is where stuff starts to happen. So hole 1, we got the glide skip. So now 101, I'm a little closer, but I'm also a little right. So I got to be careful because that wind's going to do something slightly different, but that worked out very well. No complaints. Hole 2, recoil. Again, it's just, if I haven't convinced you to put the wind glide recoil in the bag, I don't know what the hell else I have to do. It is so good for so many shots. The cave to cave, it's money. So put it in your bag. All right, this one, aim at the rock, huge hyzer. And you got to be careful not to go too far because you might turn it into a roller. And last round I threw almost a perfect one, but this one I love it. And I love being out to the right there, because then you know it's not going to hit the rock. And 45 feet. And you do have to watch, it's 45 feet. Anything past 40 feet, if it's got a crosswind of 3 or 4 or 5, that wind is going to affect that putt. So you just got to be careful on that. All right, hole 4. Accurate windbreak musket up over the top. So I'm really glad that I changed my bag a little bit and took the roller out and put the musket in, because the roller was really only good for hole 5, and it seems like the glide skip is working really well for hole 5, but I'm not including in this video all the times that I missed hole 5. So this one right here, I missed this hole a ton. And a lot of times it was not the drive, although a couple times I did put that drive into the water just because it flipped over too much. But most of the time I was putting myself here. So now I'm at 86. That's about as close as you're going to get. And I think the first couple times I got that close, I actually sent my putt way up over the top because I was so used to the shots from 100, 105, 109. And so on pace, got to throw my ballista here, make sure I put it in the right spot. So I aimed a little bit right of where I normally was. Put it up over the top. Eagle, eagle. And I suppose if you get really aggressive, you might be able to ace run that. I think as many problems as hole 5 gave me, hole 6 is just not worth trying to ace. A 400 plus par 4 with wind like that, not worth it. Okay, so now I'm really annoyed with this hole, and I really wanted to get it. I think I actually stopped between these rounds, and that one, a little to the right again. I think I stopped after that last round and came back to hole 7 and just threw it like 20 times just to practice it. And so I did finally hit it, but that's the one I wanted to get in my round. And if anybody ties me with what I'm about to get here, fireworks. So if anybody ties me, it's probably going to be hole 7 that they're going to get. And, oh, that one was so close. I would have loved to just drop that right in the basket. And I bet if I change my aim a little bit, I could probably give that one a better ace run, but whatever. And so hole 9, you probably figured out what's going to happen here. So I've got my musket dialed in, and I was about done with this. Like, I think I was going to get another 18, and I'm like, I'm done with this layout. So as soon as I let go, I knew it had a shot, and when that slammed in, I'm normally pretty chill when I get an ace, but I gave that one like a fist pump. I was like, yes, frickin' finally. I was just sick of getting 18s on those. And so finally, after getting 4 rounds of an 18, I finally hit the ace. Again, I thought it was going to be hole 7 that I was going to get the ace on, but it ended up being hole 9. So you just never know which holes are going to be your ace holes. So hopefully those of you that stuck around for all 5 rounds enjoyed seeing some of the consistency with some of the shots and some of the differences in some of the shots and the satisfaction of finally breaking through when you keep getting the same score over and over and over, and then finally on the last hole coming up clutch and getting that ace or throwing or whatever it is to finally break through. So again, hopefully you enjoyed a little extended coverage for this daily tournament, and I will be back soon.